As a victim of rape, watching the person that committed this such an act to me being able to make money from making the music glorifying the act they has done, it's certainly shameful, and the government side certainly would not stand for this. So what exactly does government side bring to you today? It's simple. Whatever music that has the act of glorifying a crime or any offense, we're going to ban it. We're not going to allow these people to continue making money from glorifying these acts of criminal offenses. And let's take a look at what exactly is the act of glorifying. Right? Glorifying means to actively say that something was great, where the act of doing that certain crime felt good for that person, and saying that it's okay to commit these certain acts. But let's take a look at the wider perspective of this debate, right? Let's take a look at the influence that music has on people in a bigger picture. Music unites people. Music internalizes onto people easily. Why? Because music causes people to come together to discuss their favorite bands. What exactly are they singing about? And then some people even memorize lyrics to music because they find it so enjoyable, right? Because music is so enjoyable, the effect that it has on these people are massive. The effect that it has on the brain is massive. Because when people listen to music, they feel a certain feeling of enjoyment, and if that enjoyment is stimulated, that person's subconscious mind internalizes whatever the music is telling them. Therefore, we tell you that in our case, we tell you because glorifying the act of criminals in music causes people to internalize these things, we will certainly not allow it. First of all, why? Let's take a look at the majority of people who listen to this kind of music, minors. People, because music does not necessarily have a censorship board, we tell you that people of all ages can listen to these types of music and be influenced by the glorification of these certain acts. For example, a singer can say that he raped a girl and said it was enjoyable. What this does to the people, though on the surface level, one may think that it doesn't have any effect on the person. Settle down. One may think that it doesn't have any effect on the person. But if you look deeper on the subliminal level, the message that this music sends to the people is that rape was good, rape was enjoyable. And especially as minors who listen to these kinds of music are easily influenced by this, especially since there are large communities of minors who listen to this music and congregate together to discuss the music that they like. Right? A simple example, Bob Marley, Wiz Khalifa, who sing of these kinds of certain acts. And people come together and smoke together as minors while listening to this kind of music just because it's simply enjoyable, right? Because of this huge impact that the music industry makes onto these minors, we tell you that the safest way for people to not learn from these criminal acts is, of course, to ban it. Second of all, what exactly does the act of glorifying do? It demeans the victim. When a criminal is allowed to sing and glorify about the things that he's done to the victim and tell the world about how enjoyable it was, it's harmful on both sides. Because now when people listen to the music, they think that crime is something that's good, that it's okay and it's fun. Not only that, it demeans the victim of the crime that was committed in the first place. For example, if I was a victim of rape and my rapist was singing about my rapist was glorifying the fact that he had the chance to rape a person, we tell you that that's shameful because it just means a deterioration of society's values. You're saying by glorifying these acts, you're saying that it's okay for these kids to do so, and this further internalizes within them because of the impact that music has, right? Third of all, what this does to the victim is it doesn't have, there's no closure between the victim and the offender now, because if the singer is allowed to make an income from actively glorifying that criminal act, it's not justified at all, because this victim is in one corner, suffering from the consequences of this grave act, having to live with societal perceptions against her. You are unpure already because you were raped, and besides that, various other criminal offenses that can happen, right? That you are because this person is already victimized by society. Why should the offender be able to make a living, make money out of glorifying that certain act? But before I move on, yes.
Why do you feel that this music that glorifies this violence in particular? Why do you feel that people who listen to it will emulate these activities and follow?
Simple, because as I've already characterized to you before, the power of music, how it internalizes in people. When people come together, discuss about the music that they like, discuss about the singers, and learn thoroughly about their personal lives. Because music is something that's so intrinsic to a person that if a person listens to the song, he internalizes it easily because it's something congregational where some people come together, discuss it together, and talk about it, right? Next, let's talk about the outcomes of this. What exactly do we want to tackle in today's debate? No, sir. What are the outcomes of today's debate? We tell you that we're not completely trying to stop crime. That's not our burden to prove. We're saying that we don't want these minors to have the thought of that crime is okay, that it's okay to commit crimes and then make a living out of it. We certainly don't want that. Second of all, we also don't want we want to ensure that closure between the victim of this crime and the criminal is better builded, because if a person is able to glorify this criminal act and still make a living out of it, it's not justified simply because not only is a person victimized by this certain act, it's also sending a message to society that it's okay for you to commit these crimes. In fact, it's enjoyable because these singers actively glorify it in their music, and since it has such a big impact on the minors, some of them might actually go out to try to commit these crimes, and then make songs out of it because of the music, the impact that this music has onto them, right? So what have I told you today? I told you about the impact of music and how it internalizes within people who listen to these kinds of music, and how they learn, how it's since music has such a big impact on them, it demeans the victim. It's harder for the victim and the offender to have to achieve closure. At the end of the day, these minors would internalize these bad ideas, and as they grow up, they continue to tell their children, they continue to pass on generation to generation that, you know what, crime is okay. In fact, it's fun.
The Prime Minister and by leader of opposition. Here, here.
Ma'am, just to clarify, how much time we have here? 7 minutes. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are debating on whether or not we should ban music that glorifies violence and criminal activities. Well, today we are essentially arguing over whether or not we should ban something that people find entertaining, that people actually enjoy listening to. For one, basically, my first issue with the Prime Minister's points is that she says that music has an intrinsic feeling to people, that the meaning behind the songs and all that internalizes within these people, and they go out and feel as if they need to emulate and they want to follow these activities. Now, ma'am, what I want to say here is I personally listen to heavy metal music. I enjoy rap. I find beats and nice rhythm cool, and I find it enjoyable. But at the same time, I don't have a criminal record. I have never beaten someone up before. I have never smoked. So why should I feel that? They don't really have any solid proof that people do feel that they need to emulate the activities within this sort of music. But also, they have not clarified as to how they intend to prevent people from doing these activities anyway. Alongside this, I would just like to also rebut on the fact that they say that it demeans the victim, it prevents closure. Okay, so in this case, they are saying that the victim will somehow feel as if because he listens to a song that glorifies music, that glorifies violent imagery, that glorifies criminal activities, he somehow will feel as if he isn't redeemed for. He somehow will feel as if whatever he's going through isn't concluded yet. But at the same time, he knows that in the real world, where criminal activities like this actually do happen, he knows that whoever offended him in the first place, whoever may have attacked him or his friends or whatever, they're now stuck in jail. They are serving their sentence, and they themselves are feeling the actual effects of what has actually happened. At the same time, the victims, why should they be affected by this music when they already know that whatever they feel may have offended them before, in this case, whatever may have attacked them or involved them with a criminal activity where they were the victims, they wouldn't be feeling that pressure considering that the people who actually did it to them, not sung about it, the people who did those activities, they're stuck in jail and they're serving their sentence and they know what they did wrong. Yes, ma'am?
So you're saying it's okay to tell kids that it's fine for you to commit these crimes even though they're not the ones who committed the crimes?
Okay, I'm not directly saying that it's okay to tell people, okay, it's great to do these crimes. But this actually brings me into my first point. But before I say that, I just like to announce that I will be speaking on what purpose violent imagery actually serves. And my second speaker will be adding on to that, and we'll also be speaking on how the black market will worsen as a result of this. So, also in response to what they have said, I just like to say that violent imagery in this case doesn't actually serve the purpose that they state. Even though, yes, they are saying that, okay, we want to kill people and we want to have fun and smoke and all that is good. But in terms of music as a whole, music as a medium of entertainment, it is one of the largest mediums out there and one of the most popular ways people can listen to and learn new things. Music as a whole is not only a very useful medium for allowing people to be able to release their creative freedom, be able to express whatever they want to within their songs. Music is also something that people listen to be able to enjoy to what they're listening and so on and so forth. As a result, if you limit this medium, basically if you ban music that glorifies violence, then how are other ways people are going to find out about these violent activities? Warm your seat. It's really cold in here. You should warm that seat up. So, as a result, if you limit this medium, if you don't let them listen to this music, how else are they going to find out, okay, this sort of stuff happens within violence, and I don't want that to happen to me. Essentially, even if they glorify the meaning behind violence, even if they say, okay, these criminal activities are great, in the process of stating this, they will also go on to state what actually happens within these violent activities. So even though they're saying, yeah, I'm good at killing people and I like it, they're also saying that killing people, within the meaning of the song, they will also say that killing people, he dies. Killing people takes a lot of effort. Killing people, I have to delve into these legal activities and so on and so forth. So even though they are glorifying this activity, they're also exposing the general population to knowing more about what actually these criminal activities entail too. So essentially, using this as a medium to tell people, hey, this sort of stuff actually does happen in music that glorifies violence and so on and so forth. You're letting them know that this does happen. So sit down. I'm so sorry. But what I would just like to continue adding upon this is that due to the fact that violent imagery can also widen our sphere of knowledge on what violence and what criminal activities actually are, we are allowing people the young generation, essentially, especially in this case when it comes to things like rap music and heavy metal, where those are usually the messages that are implied, we are allowing this generation to listen to the outcomes, to listen to what happens within this violence and these criminal activities. And they themselves can use their intuitive thinking and know that, oh, that happens. I shouldn't be doing that. Basically, considering that this is one of the largest media for allowing them to learn about these things, if we limit that, we are saying, okay, we don't want to teach them about what happens in this sort of violence, in this sort of criminalization. As a result, they wouldn't know. Even if people launch campaigns, even if people put them in the news, especially when it comes to the younger generation, most people who comprise Generation Y are always on social networking. They're always online. They always believe that the easiest way to find out about new things will be through things like entertainment. In this case, music. Through the most informative things, teaching and all that, newspapers, broadcasting, the news, they will quickly become disinterested. As a result, it's much more effective and much better to teach them on the effects of violence and on the effects of criminal activities through this music, because they will be listening to it, and especially since they are human beings as well, they will realize that things like this aren't necessarily adding to whatever they may want to achieve. Essentially, even though this music glorifies violence, they will realize that alongside the glorification, they will also be mentioning the whatever happens even in violence and whatever happens within criminal activities. As a result, they will learn from this and they will know what to do. I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you.
Here, here. Leader of opposition, I invite Prime Minister. Hold on, ah.
We think minors, people below the age of consent, people below the age of 18, very often listen to this kind of music which actually contain these kind of criminal values, right? These kind of music, R&B music, pop music that contain these kind of values propagate to society, propagate to these individuals who are below 18 the goodness of actually committing crimes. For example, Madam Chair, we tell you that people like Wiz Khalifa who make music about weed, because Wiz Khalifa itself is an individual who is already addicted to weed. Every single Instagram picture you see of Wiz Khalifa has weed. Therefore, he makes music about weed and he thinks weed is good. And he's propagating this very message towards society that weed is good, and that we think is very wrong, right? Especially towards these minors who are not even rational to think for themselves, right? Therefore, this is why they're very vulnerable to this kind of ideas. So what am I going to do in my speech for you today? Firstly, I'm going to rebut the substantives that came up from side opening government and opening opposition. And secondly, I'm going to talk to you about two things, right? Firstly, the whole monkey see and monkey do effect. And secondly, I'm going to talk to you about how this exacerbates stereotypes as a whole, and how the outcomes are very severe, right? So now, let's look at my rebuttals. Here are the three things we got coming out from their side, right? They question us, why do we ban entertainment? They told us that people like them actually enjoy this kind of music. They enjoy pop music. They enjoy R&B and heavy metal music, which actually have these kinds of which actually propagate that crime is good, that actually propagate that weed is good. We tell you, right, if you really want to enjoy music, you don't have to actually enjoy music that propagate all this. The real intention of music is to help you relax. The only reason why people enjoy EDM music is because of the beat. And the very fact that people enjoy EDM music is because
we already told you that beat is like, okay, everyone enjoys like the beat, right? Everyone likes like the bass drop and stuff. But we tell you that you don't have to have violent lyrics within a song to actually enjoy that, right? And we think it's very wrong. They told us that people are rational, and they told us that people, like, we're talking about minors here. They told us that not all minors think that when they listen to this music, crime is good, right? But the thing is, we give you an example because these musics are very graphic, right? We think that when you're saying nigga, I'm going to steal your car, we think that's like really graphic. The very fact that they already say nigga, it's already a racial issue, and we think that's bad as well. But the thing is, we give you an example of GTA, right? It's a very graphic video game. Sit down. It's a very graphic video game, right? They actually tell you to like kill people. They ask you to steal stuff from people. Okay, fine. There was this one part of this game where they told you to crash your car and like ditch your car and steal another person's car. And that's exactly what this 17-year-old boy did in America. He actually crashed his car and he died. And that's not what we want. We don't want more deaths in America. And this is what these kind of music is actually propagating to you, right, Madam Chair? They're propagating to you that crime is right. Before that, opening. Opening.
Oh, sorry. Considering that what you just said, people only listen to music for the beat. Since you say that, then why would they care what the lyrics are?
That's the thing. That I'm going to get to that point where I'm going to tell you that not all people are the same, right? People interpret music differently, and not all people interpret music positively, right? Second thing that they told us about, right, that these people actually get information about crime through this music. We tell you that is not true, right? Okay, considering you're a child and you're below the age of 18, fine, cool. You don't have to listen to rap music to tell you that crime is bad. We think there's the news for that, right, Madam Chair? Even if you don't watch the news, your parents watch the news, and your parents have the responsibility to educate you that crime is bad. Sit down, I've already answered one. We tell you that your parents already have the responsibility to inculcate that values in you, and we tell you that's all you need as a child. You need your parents to tell you things. And if you're going to talk about how these kids are going to retaliate, we think in the future, when they actually commit these crimes, no matter how much people have told them, then they'll really face the consequences, because it's already also exclusive to our side, right? If you want to talk about punishment as itself, right? Thirdly, they talk to us about intuitive thinking, and they think that all people make rational decisions, right, based on like whatever they hear. We tell you, no, that is not true. Because as a minor, right, no matter how much people tell you like, oh my God, smoking is cool, you should totally come to shisha with us or something, a lot of people think, oh, right, shisha is bad. But there is always a handful of people who still want to try. This is the age of self-actualization, Madam Chair, and they will use this music as a platform to actually self-actualize, right? And we think that is very harmful under their side, right? Because they're allowing this music to actually exist. Now, on to my substantives, Madam Chair. Firstly, on the idea of the monkey see and monkey do effect. Like Mandarin already told you, right? These people like to emulate whatever they hear. We tell you that, okay, when you listen to music, you listen to music as a form of relaxation. You listen to music when you're depressed. And what happens when when you want to relax and when you're depressed, right? When you listen to music, you completely block everything out. You completely block, sit down. You completely block out the fact that people are around you and concentrate on your music. And that's all you have, Madam Chair. The music, in essence, is music on its own and not inappropriate lyrics, right? So we tell you that when you have these lyrics in your head, it sticks there, Madam Chair. And when it sticks there, this is when you really want to emulate it. Even though you know it's bad, there is still a chance of you emulating that as a teenager itself, right? Secondly, on my idea of stereotypes, right? We tell you, right, in society today, thinking about the recent happenings in Ferguson, right? How cops unnecessarily shoot black people. We tell you that that is firstly morally abhorrent. Secondly, the very fact that like black artists actually like create rap music. Most black artists, okay, we're not like considering Eminem. So yeah, right. So most black artists actually create rap music, and they actually have all this negative matter in this music, right? We think that now white people tend to stereotype these people because they think that when black people know about crime, they actually commit crime. And that's the very stereotype that we are actually propagating to people. Like I'm already saying now, I'm already being a stereotype itself right here, right? Telling you that black people actually make this music and they know about crime. So that's how we prove that it creates a stereotype. The thing is, right, Madam Chair, like, for example, like I told you earlier on, people will be like, nigga, I'll steal a car. Firstly, I already told you that's really racially wrong. It's going to create racial issues. Secondly, we think that it's going to exacerbate the problem more because like the white supremacists, Ku Klux Klan got involved in this whole issue, right? And then we don't want to exacerbate the problem further on. Then what happened was it created an internet war between Ku Klux Klan and Anonymous, and we don't want this as a whole. With all this, go with side opening.
Thank you, Prime Minister. And the opening half, I think, by Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, music has always been something interesting, something that contains hidden meanings in them. So to argue on it would we should ban to argue if we should ban it would cause different things. The main issue that is debated here is should we ban it or not? So the black market would always be here, and it's already worse. So are you going to let them be more worse? Because right now they're selling fake copies of music with the value of lesser than 10 ringgit. So it's a crime that is very well known around the world. So people know that it's getting bigger. After this type of music is banned, the black market would be worse as they are selling this secretly. And this means that music would still exist in this world and would probably expand each year. This will also mean violence and crime by music would still happen. Based on our growing knowledge that music is something children look up to and set it as their role models, it will affect that if it was banned. Based on what my first speaker just said, music could lead to good purposes too, and children look up to it. It's a good thing to save it. Furthermore, popular artists who produce music that leads to crime and violence, they produce music about getting drunk and smoking weed, but the people know it's bad. It's based on other people's opinion. So a child below 3 years old will also know that it's bad, because it's a ridiculous action to say they would follow the artist's steps. They already have research on it, as internet is also a media they also look up to, and music is not the only entertainment that exists in this world. Okay, people listen to music often. It's a routine. We do it every day, and it's also one of the best entertainment that exists in this world. Do you think that banning it would be a good decision? As well, the answer is no. What if the person is addicted to it, and taking it away from the person would lead to something else? Example, depression. Because music can also lead to different purposes. They use it every day.
If a person was depressed, the likelihood of him committing that crime is higher. And since he's addicted to it, wouldn't he be more likely to do it in the first place?
Like I just said, they have research that it's bad. So if they have depression, if they go through depression, they wouldn't think about doing it. Other than that, music could also be bad, but the lyrics to it could also mean different purposes. As example, it's about fighting back. So this will also teach the person to learn self-defense or fighting back or not giving up. So, thank you.
So,
we question your idea of that 3-year-old, right, sir? Because when I was 3, I used to watch Barney, and all they said was "I love you." And the very fact that if you're going to take something away from a child, all they're going to do is cry, and they're not going to emulate it in the worst way possible.
So the topic here is banning violent music. So do you think "I Love You" is a bad music? Thank you.
Here, here. Here. Thank you, LO. To start the second half of the debate, I invite the government. Here.
Music is what I glorify when I was a 3-year-old. And what my 3-year-old brother also glorifies is about what he watches on TV. He watches on his iPad, where he watches this kind of cartoons that wouldn't influence him in that age. Where my brother also don't know what is violence, where he has the rational mind to know what is violence and this graphic attitude. So what opposition side has said today totally falls under our paradigm, under their paradigm. We do concede to the fact where when we hear to this kind of music, and some of the people have no criminal records, but in some cases about robbing the banks or about stealing a car were by influence. What they were influenced by is by media, and like you said, the largest medium of media now is music. So this has totally proved that music, these kinds of violence music could cause this influence and could cause these people to rob banks, to smoke weed, which is illegal in today's current world. So moving on to what he has also said about it's the largest medium. So it's the largest medium, so it's fine. It's fine if we ban just a little part of music, which is okay, because that part of music is about violence, it's about killing people, about criminal activity, where we wouldn't want to influence more people to do these kind of things, so that this world would be a better world from now. And in status quo right now, these kind of musics are allowed. To be posted to be posted on the media. And we also could see that people are influenced by this kind of music, where where we see a lot of people smoke weed, a lot of people smoke cigarettes, even though it's illegal, but still it's bad for our health. And most of these rap musics shows about smoking cigarettes and shows about smoking weeds. And it is bad for our body, and some of it are illegal, so we don't want it to happen towards society. So that's why we are banning this kind of music. So moving on to what he said about this is the media where we can find about violence. But I think he contradicts himself by saying that kids nowadays, they always go online and listen to music, and that's the way how they find violence, what violence are, what cases are. But Bulletin Utama has already been created to for people to watch news, so that they would know what is the current world now, and what people are doing in this current world. So also sit down. Also you said about exposing to the general about violence, which is almost the same thing about what I said earlier. But do you want to expose to the general about violence, about killing, about murder, where we want our society to be better for the future? So
under the opposition side, they fall. So before moving on to my extensions, sit down. So moving on to my first extension, which is about societal perception. Yeah, even in status quo right now, society's perception towards these kind of singers are bad. Yeah, for example, for example, Wiz Khalifa's music in music video where he smokes weed. Yeah, and for example, Eminem, who raps about his mother, which is about hating his mother, and we can see these harms where society looks, for example, where in a situation in a car where mom and a kid sits down and listens to music from the radio, and when this music comes out, these moms will advise their children not to follow these people's footsteps towards this kind of things. Yeah, so we can already see in status quo right now, it's really bad for this kind of children under the age of 18, where they are trying to change into an adult, where they are kids changing to teenagers and teenagers changing to adult. So when in this situation where people where this kind of kids wants to know more about the world, so when they hear this kind of music about violence, about murder, about glorifying these kind of things, these kids could be influenced by this kind of music, so and they will do a lot more of unbeneficial stuff in the future. Before moving on, yes.
Referring back to how you countered my point, Mr. Suarez, do you really think that the majority of the young generation enjoy looking up at Bulletin Utama?
What? That's just an analogy of Bulletin Utama, but I think maybe your mom doesn't tell you what violence is right now. Yeah, so because we as children know what's happening outside the world, where Palestinians are being killed by the Israelis. Yeah, that's violence. So I also know, because my mom told me, I don't like to watch Bulletin Utama too, but my mom watches it and my mom tells me. So that's why I know about violence, and I also know it by the internet. So moving on, this kind of music is being heard by the kids under the age of 18, where they want to find out more about this world, so on and so forth. And when this kind of kids wants to find more things and they listen to this kind of music, they could be influenced by this kind of music to do such bad things in the future. And when they are influenced, this kind of we can see that people who are doing crime, like for example stealing stuff, robbing banks, or do weeds like that, it's in the content of the age of a teenager going to an adult. So we can see that by this music, they could be influenced to do this kind of bad things. So what I've told you before in my speech in the past 7 minutes is about where society would look towards this artist badly, and where government bench win and opposition bench fall. See here.
Yeah.
Member of government by member of opposition. You're here.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I begin my speech, I would like to rebut some of the opposition's fallacious points. Now, I think the second speaker has kindly helped me by contradicting herself, saying that when people listen to the music, they listen to the rhythm, the beat, not the lyrics. And you're right. When you first listen to a song, you sort of hum the tune. Like you hear people walking down the street humming the lyrics to Rolling in the Deep, or like Green Day, 21 Guns. And it's not the lyrics that stick in their head. It's the actual music and beat. Now she also talked about crashing a car. Now, music, when you look at it, is an art. It's not what it means. It's the deeper meaning. And when you think about it, think about this, okay? When an artist says, "Oh, I'm gonna go burn down a building," that could mean they want to go and burn down their insecurities. Now you said crashing a car and getting into another one. You yes.
Do listeners necessarily know that in that meaning when they internalize this form of music? Yeah.
Yes, but I know. But what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't literally mean, and although it does say that, and although it does say that, it doesn't intentionally mean that. And okay, your point is a valid one. So if we go to her point saying that okay, it does glorify it, are you going to ban video games? What about movies? Now, movies. Look at this $1 billion blockbusters. Are you going to ban these? Because potentially these are bigger threats than these petty songs. Think about it. You are only listening to people doing things, whereas in the movies, you're watching them do this. Now, how does this compare? Video games, you are not watching or listening, you are doing it. Think about that. Now I will now integrate some of my rebuttals into my argument. Now people now people people listen to music and they get inspired by it. Now it inspires them to do things. It doesn't inspire them to go and rob a shop. I mean, okay, let's put it this way. We've all listened to music that has some that glorifies violent acts and all this. Does that mean that all of us will go rob 7-Eleven or go and rob a bank? Yeah, okay.
Sir, we don't say that when you hear that kind of music, you're going to rob that kind of shop. I'm saying that you could be influenced by that kind of music, and you would do that. You could do that kind of bad things in the future.
You're basically saying what I'm saying, that the lyrics influence you to do things and go rob a shop. For example, smoking weed. Now, just because I don't know, Wiz Khalifa sings raps about smoking weed. I honestly don't know why you kept on going on that point. It doesn't mean that everyone's gonna smoke weed. I mean, we've grown up listening to these songs. Does that mean that we will be any different? Now, okay, I will now carry on. Now we don't listen to we don't actually even listen to music for the lyrics. I'm gonna say this again. We listen to it for the tune, for the beat. We don't go and listen to like a song and say, oh, look, that song's the lyrics, it's my life story. No. We listen to it for the music, like how it goes, how it feels, because we like songs that are upbeat, low beat. It could be any, but it's more of the music than the actual lyrics. Now I'm gonna move on to my think about that. I'm gonna move on to my second argument. Now, what about it? Now, actually, now that it's come to my mind, now what about these other things? Like I've mentioned movies, and but what are movies, video games, and what about books? We read books like, okay, I'm gonna name a few: Divergent, Mortal Instruments, I Am Number 4. Now, all these books, they glorify violence. Now, think about this. Are we going to ban these books? Now, are we going to ban these books because Shakespeare, a literary genius, violence in his place. He's killed kings, he's killed all these people, and he's glorifying them. Are you saying that you are going to set aside one of the greatest people of all time just to ban this? Yes. Closing opposition.
Sir, we're now talking about music, not about books, not about Shakespeare, which is the smartest guy you said. Yeah, we're talking about music that glorifies criminal acts and So what's your point on this kind of books?
My point is that if you would like to ban these songs, does that mean are you going to ban these other things that prove a more potential threat to children who are like our age or even adults? That is my point. And I think you clearly misunderstand what I'm saying. Okay. Now, these are music. This is music. Now I'm going to quote Mozart here. A life without music is a life that would mean life is a mistake. Now exactly, and these songs are so huge, like Maroon 5, all these people, and I'm sure you've heard all of his, like his latest song, Animal. Okay, it's basically a song about going around hunting down people and eating them alive. Now, we know that it doesn't mean that he's actually going to go on all fours and go around and eat people. It means that he's going to go after people. I mean, and you've said that the people don't realize the meaning, but actually sometimes it does occur to them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for all of these reasons, I believe that the government side have proved a much better point than the opposition, and for this, I am proud to oppose. Thank you. I'm proud to. Oh yeah, I'm proud to oppose. That's right. Yeah.
I thank member of opposition. I invite the governor to put here.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wiz Khalifa, Lil Wayne, what do they have in common? Well, in their music, they swear, they curse a lot. Well, they rap, good stuff. But what the bad things they do are they give bad examples to the children in status quo. Now, side opposition has absolutely misunderstood this motion, both opening and closing. So the DLO said that a 3-year-old can understand Wiz Khalifa's music. Well, that is very, very, very wrong, because even if they understand these words, they would be practicing it for their whole life because they're still small and they can't really take it into consent. So they're basically saying, instead of learning A, B, C, D, F, G, they're learning F words, shit, asshole, and that kind of stuff. And we don't want this to happen, okay? Moving on to the closing side, they said that how the children listen to music is not by hearing the lyrics, but listening to the beat, right? So he gives an example of 21 Guns and Rolling in the Deep. Well, let me ask you a question. Are they music that actually glorifies violence and criminal acts? No, sit down. So basically, they're actually saying that calm music like Rolling in the Deep and 21 Guns actually glorifies violence and criminal acts, which they don't really do. So, moving on to the next issue, onto the idea of side opposition brought this issue up. It's about how children get educated by media. So side opposition basically said that they get educated by listening to this kind of music. Well, we engaged with that really strongly by saying that we have things like Bulletin Utama and not Lil Wayne and Wiz Khalifa, all that stuff. So they're basically saying how children get educated is by listening to this kind of music that glorifies violence. So they're saying that they're saying that they're getting educated by listening to this media, and when they get older, they will obviously practice this stuff which we don't want in society. Yes.
Can you prove to us, all of us, the efficacy of Bulletin Utama in teaching these people that,
All right. Let me ask you. No, I'll ask you a question. Let's see. Bulletin Utama. What does it tell you? It tells you about what's going on Israel and Palestine, what's going on with ISIS, what's going on with the current stuff in Malaysia. Well, what does Wiz Khalifa and Lil Wayne's music tell you? All the stuff they say is really, really explicit and irrelevant to the news around the world. I mean, all they do is basically, literally, apparently, obviously swear all the time. I don't want to swear here. um. Oh yeah. So moving on to the third issue. So my member of government here, he brought up the issue. He brought up the issue about societal perceptions. All right. So member of opposition didn't really engage with it. So we think that societal perceptions towards these kind of people who make this music are actually bad nowadays. Like my member of government said, when a mom sits with her children in a car and suddenly Wiz Khalifa's or Lil Wayne's music pops up on the radio and swearing comes out, so the children like enjoys yay yay. So there's a high chance that the children will follow the stuff that they hear in the radio. So his mom will obviously stop him from listening to that music by preventing him from this kind of stuff. So that's where Bulletin Utama comes in. That's why moms educate their children by that's why their moms educate their children by telling them to watch Bulletin Utama instead of this kind of stuff. So side opposition also brought for that. Yes.
Actually, can you prove to me this high chance of them emulating these violent?
All right, sit down. All right, the kids, right? Kids don't know about the stuff that's going on around the world. They can't think, especially 3-year-olds. They can't think what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So basically, the first thing that comes in their ear, they will practically do it in their life. Like I just told you about how children will learn these swearing words instead of learning A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So yeah, what have I told you today? I brought up the issues that were that clash in this debate, and we think that side government has a big chance of winning this debate, especially closing government. And with that, side government has been is ever proud to support this motion.
Thank you, government. To end this debate, I invite opposition will.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to me today. I would like to tell you the three major questions that side government has failed to answer. Number one, they have failed to answer how will they possibly stop this, how they so easily ban music. Number two, if music was banned, what are the major benefits of it? And lastly, number three, how will it affect the music industry producing these kind of music? Madam Chair, all they have ranted about was the harms of violent music. And with that, I would like to start off with my rebuttals. If people's, like your whip said, if people's moms stop them from listening to this kind of music and tell them to watch Bulletin Utama, which I don't even know what that is, then what is the point of even wasting your effort trying to ban these kinds of music? It's just, don't moms already do this job? And I'd like to add an extension. Number one, firstly, companies such as Spotify, Apple will lose a lot of their money making music because there are stores such as Apple iTunes and subscribers from Spotify who love this kind of music. So they'll definitely lose the money if you guys ban this kind of music. Therefore, if this happens, less profit will be made by these companies.
Sir,
Yes.
are you then saying it's okay to make a profit off someone's music?
I'm not saying that. I said that they're making profit from the music they're producing. I'm not saying that they're making money out of their misery. But anyway, artists such as Eminem, Bob Marley, like you stated, Wiz Khalifa, they have been doing this for like the last few years. It is basically their job. So isn't it irrational if you just take their life off them because their job is basically their passion, and this is the only thing that they actually write? And my second extension is, let me start this extension by telling you a fact. In 2011, everyone, guess who was the most popular rapper? Anyone? No suggestions? But guess what? It's the one that you hate. Wiz Khalifa actually won the thing. So if you think about it logically, if you ban his music, the amount of fans that will hate you is just simply uncountable. I'm sorry, but it's uncountable. So if you actually ban his music, the demand for his music will skyrocket, and then someone who is clever enough will somehow produce his music and sell it in the black market. This will then create like some kind of market behind your back, and people will just resort to going to black markets instead of buying music from iTunes and Spotify. Don't you think that this is like worse than having music that swears? So in my opinion, I feel that it's just simply not logical if you ban this kind of music, because all the amount of people, the music, for example, the music industry, did you know that 1/7 of their industry is made out of rap? There are many different sections, and we all know that rap is basically filled with profanities and vulgarities. We can't like stop. Yes, go ahead.
To agree to our characterization that music is something hugely influential, then why won't just people learn of these values from music?
I'm sorry, but I never agree with your point. Going on, the music industry is like I stated earlier, 1/7 filled with rap. So basically, if you take out 1/7, only 6 out of 7 will be left. And you said that all the music that has vulgarities and whatever profanities. So basically that would be about another third. So if you add 1/6 plus a third, you will get half. So basically half of that music industry is gone. So with this, I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you for listening.
Can I call speakers? You may cross the floor and escape the cold room.